Good morning, everybody, and welcome to our special Christmas Kirklees Library's Writer in Residence session called Winter Unwanted. And we've got a brilliant panel of guests today, and we'll be treated to lots of book readings, poetry, quizzes, and lots more. And it should be a really, really fun morning. Okay, so I'll introduce Christina Longden, who is our Writer in Residence.
Hello, everybody.
Hi, Chris.
Hi.
And then we have our very special guests, all from Holmfirth Writers Group. So we've got Sally.
Hello.
Hello, Sally.
Hello.
And we've got Anne. Hello, Anne. Morning.
Hi,
Anne. And then we've got Owen and Dinah. Hello. Who work for Kirklees Libraries.
Hi. Hi, everybody.
Hello.
And Owen.
Hi.
Hi. Okay, so we're going to start off today with Chris, who's going to read some readings for us. Over to you, Chris. There we go. Oops. Where's Chris gone?
I'm here. Before we each read whatever it is we've got to read, we said we might share something that we're reading at the moment or something that we'd like to recommend to others. So I'm going to show you what I'm reading at the moment, which is Enoch's Hammer by John Wheatley, who also happens to be a local writer. And this book is basically historical fiction based on the true events of the Luddite uprisings in the Huddersfield area. And it's fantastic. And it's keeping me going at the moment. And I hope my mum isn't watching, because I was actually going to give her this as a Christmas present, but I've decided to read it myself and then give it her. And I know she'll understand, because she's a very lovely mother. So, without further ado, I'm going to read something to you. It's nothing I've written. I wish I could have written this. This is by Samuel Laycock, who is a 19th century poet, very famous poet, if you know your northern poets in particular. He was born in Marsden, which is in Kirklees, on the border of the hills that go over to the Manchester side. And he grew up in Stalybridge, which is where I'm from. So it's wonderful, because I've recently found out that this poem was actually written in the middle of the Lancashire cotton famine, which I've been doing a lot of writing about. And I thought, because the theme of today was winter unwanted, unwanted with an O, meaning a bit different, a bit strange, a bit unusual, because it will be that way this year for people who are having winter celebrations. And I love the fact that he wrote this in the middle of horrific times, really bad hardship, literally people in Lancashire starving to death because of the boycott of the cotton coming over from the American Civil War. So this went on for nearly 3 years. Samuel wrote this poem. It's called Welcome Bonnie Brid. It's completely written in dialect, and I've even had to Zoom my dad to find out that I'm pronouncing things properly, and believe me, my dad knows it's dialect. So fingers crossed it'll go well. But what makes me smile about this poem is Samuel wrote it. He was just about to have his 4th child, literally in the same room that his wife was giving birth. I don't know about you, but when I was giving birth, if my husband had sat there writing poetry, I would have had a few things to say. So it makes me smile, this poem, and I just love it. So here goes. That welcome, little Bonnie Brid, but shouldn't have come just when they did. Times are bad. We short of pobbies for our Joe, but that, of course, thou didn't know, did thou, lad? I've often heard me feyther tell that when I'll come in th' world myself, trade were slack, and now it's hard work pulling through. But I munna fear thee, if thou do, thou'll go back. Cheer up, these times 'll alter soon. I'm bound to be another spoon, one for thee. And as thou's such a pretty face, I'll let thee have our Charlie's place on me knee. God bless thee, love. I'm fain thou'rt come. Just try and make thyself at home. Here's thee nest. Thou'rt like thy mother to a T. But there's thy feyther's nose, I see. Well, I'm blessed. Come, thou needn't look so shy. I am no blaming thee, not I. Settle down and take this ha'penny for thyself. There's lots of sugar sticks to sell down in town. I know when first thou come to late, I were fond o' out that tasted sweet. Thou'll be the same. But come, thou's never told thee dad. What's he to call thee yet, my lad? What's thy name? Hush, hush, thou mustn't cry this way. But get this sup o' cinder tay whilst it's warm. Me mother used to give it me when I was such a lad as thee, in her arm. Usha babby, usha bee. Oh, what a temper, dear me. How this strikes. Here's a bit of sugar, see thee. Out the noise, and then I'll give thee out the likes. We've nobbut gotten coarsish fare, but out of this they'll get the share, never fear. I hope they'll never want a meal, but allus fill the bally wheel while that here. The feyther's known been wed so long, and yet that sees is middling thrung. Wi' you what? Besides thee, little brother Ted, with one upstairs asleep i' bed, wi' our Joe. But though with childer, 2 or 3, we'll mak a bit of room for thee, bless thee, lad. Thou'rt the prettiest brid we have at nest, so hutch up closer to me breast. I'm thee dad. Oh, I love that poem. And it turned out, actually, it wasn't a boy that he'd had, it was a girl, so it's an even more fantastic poem for that. I'm going to read another one now. This is by Frances McEwen. This is a member of the Holmfirth Writers group. Very short poem, and an excellent person who writes poetry way better than I could ever dream. I watch a leaf drift lazily down through the garden canopy, rocking and slipping in the air. So only time, and I'm aware that this formulation's year of living, with this one flight on one green wing, has finished, and a tree rings listed the year when this lone leaf existed. All things are reincarnation. Each second brings a new creation. Thank you. That's my bit done.
Oh, thanks, Chris. That was absolutely brilliant.
Thank you.
Yeah, lovely. Right, so I've got, in between each reading, I've got a few little quiz questions for the panel. So I'll get everybody on. Here we go.
This is where we embarrass ourselves.
And Dinah. There we go. Right then, so here's your first question. And it's, which year was Mr. Blobby Christmas number 1?
Oh, blimey.
Goodness.
I can remember that costume he wore.
Can I ever go first, or do we have to write it down? Is it 91? 91?
Oh, nearly.
Is
Very close.
it in the 90s?
Yes, it's in the 90s.
Yeah.
92?
Oh, bit
93?
Yes, 93.
Oh,
We got there.
Okay. And your second question. Who starred in the Christmas movie It's a Wonderful Life?
Oh,
Never seen it.
You're not actually Googling.
and we went to see it.
Say
at
that
the,
again, Owen.
the Rex.
Jimmy Stewart.
That's
James
right,
Stewart.
James
Oh,
Stewart.
right.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Well
Okay, and your third one. In the song 12 Days of Christmas, what are there 6 of? On the first day of Christmas.
Oh, they know 5 gold rings.
Not 6 maids a milking, is it? No.
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 6 geese a laying.
Laying.
Yeah, 6
Oh.
Yay! All right, lovely.
Excellent.
Brilliant. Okay, so I'll have some more quiz questions for you later on. Okay, so I think Owen is up next with his
Okay.
reading.
Right.
So, right, let's take it away.
Right then. So, going off of what Chris just said about the books and what I've been reading at the moment, I've recently finished The Gritter Man by Orlando Weeks, and it is a really good winter-based graphic novel, very much in the style of Raymond Briggs' Snowman and Father Christmas, but it's for adults because it's about a man who's works as a gritter man, and he's coming to the end of his career. So it's very kind of thoughtful and very kind of deep in parts, with some very beautiful poetry as well as some very nice images. See if I could find an example. Yeah, something like this. So if I get that on the camera correct. But yes, been really enjoying that, and I would recommend it for anyone who's feeling a little bit pensive this Christmas. And now I'm going to read 2 pieces from the Huddersfield Authors Circle. One of them will be from me, and it's a short story titled Seasonally Affected. And I've also got a poem by Susie Field, who is also from the Authors Circle. So I will first read the short story, and then I'll get to the poem. So this is Seasonally Affected. When he wakes up and it is dark outside, he knows it could happen. He feels it spread from his chilly toes up his achy legs till it bursts in his chest, which coughs and splutters accordingly. Sometimes it's just a cold, a flu maybe, but he knows at this time of year that it could be so much more. The world weariness of a full year now keeps him prostrate on the bed. Still, he resists and moves, feeling the cold as he crosses his bedroom for the day's clothes. He dresses quickly, avoiding touching skin against skin and the cold sensations that bring. He adds another layer of clothing, and then another layer on top of that, just in case. When he is numb to the frost that has crept through his window overnight, he parts the curtains and raises the blinds. A grey, lumpen sky fills his vision. After a perfunctory breakfast, he sets out. He sidesteps slugs and snails on his porch to get to sparkly frost patches on the long path to work. It is dark, so he needs to be careful and watch out for anything that might come up. He keeps glancing skyward, not able to tell if the clouds have shifted position or even broken at all. The monotone of winter is particularly oppressive when it is still technically autumn. Nevertheless, the atmosphere isn't quite cold enough yet for anything to fall. He does his best to enjoy the crispness of the air while keeping his hands covered and safely tucked into his pockets. On he goes, over vales and hills, along main roads, with cars few and far between, but speeding as if black ice weren't a problem. When able, he takes side roads, with a few pedestrians crossing, shortcuts where he can still be alone. If he sees trees coming, he steers well clear in case a sodden leaf should tumble down from the bush and take him by surprise. He knows he should wear a hat. It would certainly keep his ears warm, but then he wouldn't feel anything that might land on him. The very idea of pulling off a hat and feeling foreign moisture there is quite unsettling. He perseveres until his path finally ends and he stands in front of his work hut. He kicks his boots against the porch step just in case he has waded through any puddles without realizing it, before pulling out his ring of keys. He tries the front door key, but it will not turn, as if water has entered the lock and frozen overnight. With a little force, he manages it, though the sudden action leaves him oddly light-headed. As he depresses the handle, he barely notices the tiniest touch to the back of his neck. It drips down, and he knows that's it. Snow has fallen on him at last. The door clatters open. Stepping inside, the warmth drains from his face, embracing the cold. He becomes a part of it. And now I have the poem by Susie Field titled Winter. Icy fingers search my window, beyond a white and frozen world, silent, still, almost eerie, breathtaking beauty slowly unfurled. Trees with branches, gnarled and twisted, reach for snowflakes drifting by, falling faster, thick and heavy, threatening clouds in a hostile sky. Darkness falls, a vice-like grip. Light is fading, closing fast. Dying flame, no longer prancing. Memories surface from the past. Voices calling, I cannot answer. My lips still move, but there is no sound. Feeling colder, close to the window, slowly slipping to the ground. I reach out my hand and clasp his fingers. I thought I would never see him again. We dance in the sunlight, young and carefree. Where is the darkness? Where is the pain? Looking down on a frozen landscape, crisp and white with virgin snow. No more winters, long and endless. No more fires, burning low. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Owen. Really lovely. It makes me wonder whether we're going to get some snow for this winter. Who knows?
Yeah, looking likely. So,
Yeah. Okay, I'll get everybody back on again because it's time for our next quiz questions. Right, we're ready. So, here we go. Who wrote the book A Christmas Carol?
Charles Dickens.
Charles
Yay!
that's the one.
Correct. Okay.
Dickens. Dickens.
And then, what is the day after Christmas Day called?
Boxing Day.
It's Boxing Day, but it's also called something else.
Oh, that was a trick
Um,
question.
Yes.
Not fair.
Warm-up day for us because we
Yeah.
warm everything up
Is
after.
it the Feast of Stephen?
Yes,
Monopoly Day.
Stephen's
Oh,
Day.
right.
Yes,
Well,
well
there you
done.
go.
Well done. Brilliant. Okay, and then your next one. Name 2 of Santa's reindeers,
Of course.
except for Rudolph.
Comet.
Yes,
Prancer.
Blitzen.
yes. Vixen,
Donna.
yes. Donna,
Blitzen.
yeah. One more.
We had Prancer.
Prancer, yeah.
Yeah.
Dancer.
Dasher.
Dasher.
Dasher. Yeah, Dasher.
Dasher.
Dasher, Dancer,
Dasher.
Prancer, Blitzen, Vixen, Comet, Cupid, and Blitzen. Yeah. Well done. Yeah, brilliant. Okay, so I think we're going on now to Sally, who's going to read us her poem. So I'll just get Sally's poem. Yeah. Okay. Right, Sally. So I'll just put your poem up on screen with you. So I'll just be 2 minutes with that.
Hi, everybody. I brought a book to talk to you about called Wintering, seeing as we're talking about winter. It's not the jolliest of books, I have to warn you. It's about Sylvia Plath. I'm really, really interested in Sylvia Plath and Ted Hughes. And of course, Ted Hughes lived for a time in Mytholmroyd, up above Hebden Bridge, and Sylvia Plath's buried in the churchyard at Mytholmroyd. This is a fantastic book called by Kate Moses, and it's a fictional piece about the last few weeks of Sylvia Plath's life. She was living in London in that terrible winter of 1962-63, which coincidentally there was a programme about it on the telly last night, in fact, an hour's documentary about it. If you can catch it, it was introduced by Chris Packham. So it's fictional, but it's based on the actual events of Sylvia's last few weeks, struggling in a very cold flat in London on her own with 2 children. Ted Hughes still living in Devon at that point. And obviously it ends in her suicide. She didn't. She managed to save her children, but she ended her own life in the February of that winter, which was one of the worst winters of the last century. It's a beautiful book. It's got so much passion. I mean, despite her isolation and her obvious depression, there are moments of passion and heroism in there, really. And so if you're interested in her life, I would definitely recommend it. And now I'm going to read a short story, which I'm hoping will come up, which I wrote. And it's very tongue-in-cheek, so you've got to imagine I think I'm Hyacinth Bouquet, really. It's called The Miracle of Christmas from a Woman's Point of View. It's a miracle that we put ourselves through it. A miracle that every year we pore over magazines looking for the Jamie Oliver alternative to roast turkey and the perfect present for estranged siblings, control freak mother-in-laws, ungrateful teenagers, your children's favourite teaching assistant, and various related tantruming toddlers. And yes, you've guessed it, even the golden retriever gets a bone, which plays ding-dong merrily on high when you chew it. Not that I do. Chew it, I mean. No matter how soon you get to the starter's block, it's always a gallop to the finish. This year, I was well ahead of myself in October, having already chosen the Christmas cards, nothing too down market, a nice hand-painted robin with snowdrops and all the proceeds to endangered bats. Or was it retired greyhounds? Anyway, the cards were bought, if not written. And I had even decided on some of the children's stocking fillers. When, wouldn't you know it, some distant second cousin decided that she was getting married on Christmas Eve of all days. Never mind. I suppose there's still plenty of time, if not money, to go out and buy wedding outfits for the entire family and choose something modest but tasteful from the wedding list. I'm sure a trip to Cornwall would do us good and get us all in the holiday mood, and it shouldn't take too long to motor back to Yorkshire after the reception in the evening. With luck, we should get home in the early hours of Christmas Day, just in time to put the Santa sacks out and peel a carrot for Rudolph. Santa might have to go without the homemade mince pies this Christmas. Waitrose Deluxe will just have to do. Now, why don't you ask your husband to lend a hand, I hear you chorus. Well, it just so happens that last year I did. His one and only task was to buy a tree. 10 days before Christmas is just about right, I always think. Not too long to get bored with the idea, just enough time to create a sense of excitement and expectation. The 10-day deadline came and went, and there was no sign of anything remotely green in the living room. Everywhere shook by the time I'm finished work, he complained, when I gently inquired about the tree. 8 days before Christmas, and the kids were beginning to pester. I'll get one tomorrow, he promised, waving his hand dismissively. There's still plenty to choose from. 5 days to go, and he's poleaxed by a mystery virus which confines him to a darkened room for 36 hours. 3 days before, and he returns home triumphant with a twig of dwarfish proportions, shedding its needles copiously all over the shag pile and totally bald on one side. It's all they had, he says pathetically, as I frown at what was supposed to be the centrepiece of our rather spacious bay window. By this time, the children have completely lost interest, and I'm left to decorate the miniature molting twig on my own. One set of fairy lights later, and half a dozen rather vulgar Simpsons baubles, which the kids won at school at the fair, and there's no room for anything remotely tasteful. So much for Country Living's tips for a contemporary Christmas. In the meantime, I was busy purchasing and individually gift wrapping 83 presents, signing, addressing and posting 114 Christmas cards, preparing a dozen homemade Christmas puddings to give to friends, making and icing the cake, thinking of ideas for buying and wrapping all my mother's Christmas presents to give to the rest of the family, including me, attending Christmas concerts for both my children, one of which was a bottom paralysing 3 hours long, cleaning the house from top to bottom and changing the beds in honour of the in-laws' imminent arrival, stocking up on enough food and booze to pickle an army, and preparing for an invite the neighbours Boxing Day shindig. I swear that my husband only actually realised that it was Christmas Day when the family turned up wearing Santa hats, and I shoved a large bird and a carving knife in front of him. Sometimes I know where I'd like to put that turkey. In a desperate attempt towards damage limitation, I warned my husband as far back as September that I couldn't go through another Christmas like last year. He put his arm around my shoulder supportively and said, "You know, it would be a whole lot easier if you didn't try to do so much." The other miracle about Christmas is that he's still alive to enjoy it.
Brilliant. Thank you, Sally. That was really good, really excellent.
I think a few women will probably identify with that story.
Absolutely.
We all love Christmas, but all the work tends to fall to the ladies.
Yes. Okay, I'll get everybody back on again.
Oh, that was fab, thank you. It was like you got inside my house and my head.
Okay, right, we've got a couple more questions. Quiz questions. Right, okay. In the Christmas song, which other plant goes with holly?
Ivy.
Ivy. Yeah, easy peasy. Okay. What is the name of the boy in the Home Alone films who ends up being left on his own at Christmas.
Oh, is it McAllister?
Yes, well done.
Oh.
Can you remember his first
Ooh,
name?
Kevin.
Oh, yeah,
Kevin.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow, I'm impressed.
Very good.
Okay.
Yes.
Which coin was traditionally put in a Christmas pudding?
Sixpence?
Yes, that's it.
Yes,
Yep,
yeah.
spot on. Yeah. Okay, lovely. Right, I think Dinah's got a little pitch quiz for us next. So
I
just
have,
turn her
yes.
on. Right, there we go. Right, Dinah, shall I load it up for you? Would you like to do the Guess the Christmas Story?
Yes, yeah, that'll be fine. And if you can, are you going to move? Yeah, the pictures along. Okay. So I've got a little quiz for you. These are snippets of pictures from well-known Christmas stories, and there is only a little bit of a snippet. So it's up to you to have a little bit of a guess on what the story is. So, Christmas books, can you guess the story from the picture? Okay, Nicola, can we have the first slide here? So, have a look at this. What story? Famous Christmas story. And this is a very old Christmas story, originally a poem. So, which story book do you think this is? Okay. So shall we have the second one? Oh, now then. Again, this is a very old story, well-known story, made into a movie, play. So who do you think this is, and what story is this from? Okay, Nicola, shall we have the third one? Oh, now this is a favourite with a lot of the children in the library, and it does make me laugh too. And the clue is, it sounds a little bit like my name. Okay, and this is a humorous book. Lots of funny things happening in this story. Okay, Nicola, shall we have the? Yep. Okay, so again, this you should be, but there's not much of a clue here. But again, a very famous story made into a movie. So, what do you think this one is? Okay, Nicola, shall we have the next one? Now, this is a very favourite one of mine, and a clue is it was made into a ballet. I think it's also an opera, and it was written a long time ago, written in 1816 actually, but still very popular nowadays. Okay, Nicola, can we have the next one? This is quite a modern story. Well, it's a traditional story, but written by a well-known author who's very popular today. So have a guess what you think this story is. She's written quite a lot of books, very popular with the older juniors and teenagers. Okay, Nicola, next one. Now then, which animal does this belong to? And again, written by a very famous author. She's written a lot of books. So who do you think this is? Okay, and the next one, Nicola. So, yep, this is popular and very, very fun tactile, touchy-feely book. I love this one. I'm very popular with my son. And next one. Oh, who do you think this is? Ho, ho, ho. Okay, and is that, I think that last one? Oh, yep, the last one. Okay, this is great. This was very popular with my son. Lots of flaps and lots of things to pull out and look at. Very popular book at Christmas. Okay, is that them all, Nicola, I think? Should we bring everybody back on? Hi. So if we bring everybody back on and then we go through what we think they all are, how did you find that? Any that you were really struggling with, or
Yes.
sprung to mind?
Challenging.
Tricky.
Oh,
Most of them. Most of them.
you got
Did ya?
most of them.
Wow.
Brilliant, brilliant.
I should
Okay,
hope
shall we
so.
go?
You work in the library.
Yeah.
Shall we go through them one by one? So
Yeah.
the first one, what did you get for the first one?
Night Before Christmas.
Yes, brilliant.
We've got that one. I love it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Me.
Yeah, written by Clements Clark Moore back 1823, I think it was. So a long time ago, but so reminiscent of today. A beautiful story. What did you get for number 2?
Christmas Carol.
Yes, well done, Owen. Yeah, there's a mean-looking Scrooge there.
Yeah.
Number 3. Anybody get number
Yes,
3?
Scrooge.
Go on, Owen.
Can't remember which
Go
one.
on. No, anybody?
Was it the dinosaur that pooped Christmas?
It was. Yes, yes, it was by Tom
I've never read
Fletcher.
it, but I've heard about it.
Yeah, it's great. Really, really fun story. And there's lots of poop in there, presents and prehistoric creatures. So it's really
Very literary. Wonderful. Love it.
Number 5. What do you get for the next one?
Something like Christmas Mog. Was it the Mog Stories of Cats? No. Oh,
It was
I
The
don't know.
Snowman by Raymond Briggs.
Yes, of course.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
It was floating in the air. You know, when they're out flying in the sky. Yeah, that was a tricky one. I had to throw a really tricky one in there. The next one. What did you get for the next one?
Was it the Nutcracker?
It was.
Yay!
Yes, yes, it was the Nutcracker, written back in 1816. So over 200 years ago. It's so popular.
It's amazing, yeah.
Yeah. Number 7. That one might have been a bit tricky.
I don't know, was it Jacqueline Wilson one?
It was, yes. It was Hetty Feather's Christmas
Oh,
by
right.
Jacqueline Wilson and Nick Sharratt. Yeah. The next one was the little furry creature's legs. Did you guess what that one was?
Was that Mog's Christmas?
It was Owen, yes, by Judith Kerr.
Oh.
Yes. Yeah, lovely story. She's written some
I love Mog.
beautiful books. And then the next one.
They look like an elf. An
It
elf.
was an
of
elf,
some sort.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah, actually, it's a board book, popular with the babies and toddlers. It's series That's Not My Elf.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And then the last one was
Father Christmas.
Father Christmas.
Father.
Yep, by Raymond Briggs. Oh, sorry, we did have one more, didn't we? There was the other one. Did you get the very last one?
No.
I recognise the illustrations. Was it Jolly Postman?
It was.
Oh,
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I just
I
recognise the same illustrations. That I love that book.
Yeah, it's fantastic, isn't
Yeah.
it? There's lots of little envelopes to take
Oh yeah,
out.
it's
so
one
lots
to hand. Next generation one. That one. It's to keep, isn't it? And always wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Wow.
well done, everybody. Hope that brought back some memories of reading
It was
yourself or
lovely.
reading with your children.
Lovely.
Okay.
Right, brilliant. I think we've got I think Anne's up next. Is Anne? I think Anne's had to go 2 minutes. So
Nicola, do you want me to
shall we-
read this one from Tim?
Yes, that'd be a good
Okay.
idea. Yeah.
We
So
did
we'll
we did
just-
plan to have Tim Taylor, a local writer who's also the chairperson of Holmfirth Writers Group, and he was going to read a poem and also something from About Time, which Owen will know about because it's an anthology that Owen has also contributed to called Darkness. He was going to read that one, but I'm going to read this one, which is by Tim. So I'm sorry I'm not Tim, but we'll get Tim back another time. December, I am fed up with your misanthropy. Sick of the mangy clouds and spiteful rain that play your symphony of grey. Give me a rainbow, or better still, just for a while, make me a window in your sky. Let the sun wake, blinking and returning glory. Throw jewels on the puddled streets. Show pity to those poor skeletons of trees. Sunlight will be more precious for its rarity. An hour will do, enough to lift a corner of the gloom and polish up those faded memories of summer. Oh, he's a great poet, Stu. Thank you. Have we got any more quiz questions?
Yes, we have. Yeah, let's get everyone back on again. There we go. Dinah and Anne. There we go. Right, so it's number 10 this time.
Mm-hmm.
And it's which country donates a Christmas tree for Trafalgar Square every Christmas?
Denmark.
Denmark. Norway, I've got here.
Norway.
Yeah,
Oh, sorry. Yes,
excellent.
Norway.
Okay.
Norway, yeah.
And then who sang Walking in the Air, featured in the film The Snowman?
Aled Jones.
Aled Jones.
Yeah.
Ron Banger.
And your next question. In which year was the Queen's Christmas speech first televised?
Oh, 60s? Well, is it in the 60s?
No, a bit earlier than that.
53.
A bit later.
58?
Oh, nearly.
59?
Oh, a bit earlier. 57. Yeah. Right, brilliant. That's lovely. So we'll just see if we can get Anne back on, ready for Anne's reading. Right then, let's have a little look.
Hi.
Can you hear us, Anne? Okay, so are you ready for your reading? To do your reading?
Oh, yes. I'm
Lovely.
sorry I
Okay.
disappeared. My computer took me away. Well, where we live, there's still a memory of the wolves that we had in the place names. I'm thinking of Wolfstones. Wooldale is Wolfdale. And I read a book quite recently by Lynn Burke, Berk, called To Die Alone in the Yukon. It's an exciting crime thriller set in the permafrost region that makes you realise what winters could be like, and we don't seem to get them. But I'm just reading, her descriptions are beautiful. I'll just read you a short one. Troy, look, said Lydia. His eyes caught the movement too, and he nodded and slowly stood up. A black wolf set daintily onto a bare patch of ground. He stopped and stared at the humans. He was huge and magnificent. His coat was glossy and his eyes were amber with black centres. His gaze was steady, without fear or curiosity. He crossed the creek and trotted around the perimeter of the meadow, sniffing the air and the ground. His circles got smaller and smaller. Finally, he lowered himself to the ground, but he kept looking around as if he was expecting something. When he laid his chin on his front paws, a second wolf tiptoed into the clearing. She was white, with black stripes circling her cheeks and with one black paw. She offered the black wolf no greeting and paid no attention when the cotton grass behind her began twisting and bending. She ignored the barks and yips emanating from the weeds. Troy turned to Lydia, his eyes wide. She has pups, he whispered. A small grey wolf loped into the clearing, pursued by a black one. A few moments later, two more pups emerged, one black and one brindle. They looked quizzically at Troy and Lydia and then began to dash around the meadow. The grey pup stopped and sniffed at the ground. He began to dig a hole with energy and purpose. Dirt and grass flew everywhere. Whenever one of his siblings came over to help, he growled softly. Every now and then the brindle pup would stop running, raise a head to the sky, and emit a thin, high-pitched cry. Howl practice, whispered Lydia. The grey pup kept digging. Lovely, exciting book, and I do recommend it. That's It sounds so dire. It's a really good story. To Die Alone in the Yukon. And this is my poem that arrived in the middle of last night. So if I'm a bit dopey-headed, this is why. You never know when a poem will come and get you. This is called, Christmas Rose. When winter's cold frosts the meadows, as the year takes its last lingering breath, lays to rest leaves, fruit, and flowers, to hide away until we turn again, face towards the nurturing sun. Then, just in time, appears a tender rose to display its fragile silken petals, some green, pink, or purple, or white, bravely weathering bitter snow and ice. A Christmas gift to bring hope to us all, a harbinger of bounties yet to be, as our only home warms to bloom anew. But what if we've tipped this our world, so there may be no springtime to unfurl? Legend tells us of a little girl, a pilgrim to the newborn king, who had no gift to give the child. She found this winter's flower on her way, blooming when no other could survive, undeterred by season's snow and ice, a fitting token of renewing life. Can we find our Christmas rose, a sign that we can grow and thrive in peace and harmony with all those that share our love of being alive? Thank you.
That was beautiful. Thank you, Anne. That was really lovely. Okay, I'll get everybody back on again. There we go. Dinah, there we go. Right, okay. I've got my last 3 questions of the quiz, and then I think Dinah's going to read us something after. So let's have a little look. So, in the Dr. Seuss's children's book, who stole Christmas?
The Grinch.
The Grinch. Exactly, yes.
The Grinch.
Which famous film star from Casablanca and the Maltese Falcon was born on Christmas Day?
Humphrey Bogart.
Yes, well done, Owen. Yeah.
Well done.
And your final quiz question.
Oh,
Who sang I'm Dreaming of
a white Christmas? He's got to be Bing. He's got to be Bing Crosby.
Yes, that's it. Correct.
Really original.
Well done. Oh, lovely.
Fantastic.
Can't do better than that.
Okay. Right. I think Dinah's got a little reading for us next as well. So, okay, we'll just go.
So, hi everybody. I'm going to read a poem, a very old poem. I can't claim it's mine at all. It was written by Clement Clark Moore, and it's one of my favourite Christmas poems. I've read it over and over again to my son when he was little. I believe it's still enjoyed today by all ages. And for me, this poem evokes emotions of excitement and anticipation just before Christmas. It brings to me snuggles and cosy Christmas Eves and those warm, safe, happy feelings, especially in times of change and difficulties. And when I reread it a few days ago, it lifted me and got me into the festive mood, especially, you know, when it's a difficult and it's a strange time. As I say, it's written by Clement Clark Moore, who was an American writer, professor of Oriental and Greek literature. He lived from 1779 to 1863. And the poem was first published anonymously in 1823 because it's believed that Clement Clark Moore didn't want any fame and fortune, but he did claim authorship in 1837. And there is some controversy over that it was called originally A Visit from St. Nicholas, but we know it as 'Twas the Night Before Christmas. So I'm going to read it to you now. When all through the house not a creature was stirring, not even a mouse, the stockings were hung by the chimney with care, in hopes that St. Nicholas soon would be there. The children were nestled all snug in their beds, while visions of sugar plums danced in their heads. And Mamma in her kerchief, and I in my cap, had just settled our brains for a long winter nap. When out on the lawn there arose such a clatter, I sprung from my bed to see what was the matter. Away in the window I flew like a flash, tore open the shutters and threw up the sash. The moon on the breasts of the new fallen snow gave a lustre of midday to objects below. When what to my wondering eyes should appear but a miniature sleigh and 8 tiny reindeer, with a little old driver so lively and quick, I knew in a moment it must be St. Nick. More rapid than eagles, his coursers they came, and he whistled and shouted and called them by name. Now Dasher, now Dancer, now Prancer and Vixen. On Comet, on Cupid, on Donner and Blitzen. To the top of the porch, to the top of the wall, now dash away, dash away, dash away all. As leaves that before the wild hurricane fly, when they meet with an obstacle, mount to the sky. So up to the housetop the coursers they flew, with the sleigh full of toys and St. Nicholas too. And then in a twinkling I heard on the roof the prancing and pawing of each little hoof. As I drew in my head and was turning around, down the chimney St. Nicholas bound. He was dressed all in fur from his head to his foot, and all of his clothes were all tarnished with ashes and soot. A bundle of toys he had flung over his back, and he looked like a peddler just opening his pack. His eyes, how they twinkled, his dimples, how merry. His cheek were like roses, his nose like a cherry. His droll little mouth was drawn up like a bow, and the beard on his chin was as white as snow. The slump of a pipe he held tight in his teeth, and the smoke it encircled his head like a wreath. He had a broad face and a little round belly that shook when he laughed like a bowl full of jelly. He was chubby and plump, a right jolly old elf, and I laughed when I saw him in spite of myself. A wink of his eye and a twist of his head soon gave me to know I had nothing to dread. He spoke not a word, but went straight to his work, and filled all his stockings, then turned with a jerk, and laying his finger aside of his nose, and giving a nod, up the chimney he rose. He sprang to his sleigh, to his team, gave a whistle, and away they all flew like the dash of a thistle. The down of a thistle. But I heard him exclaim, ere he drove out of sight, "Happy Christmas to all, and to all a good night." And a Merry Christmas and a festive holiday to you all. Thank you.
Thanks, Dinah. Lovely, really good. I love that.
Oh, I know. And it's so relevant, 200 years ago, and it just brings that excitement of Christmas.
Absolutely. Shall we do anagrams?
Anagrams, yes, a difficult one to say, but yeah.
Right.
I've got 5 Christmas anagrams. I've got 5 Christmas anagrams for you to have a look at, and see if you can guess the Christmas word. So, Nicola, do you want to show the first one? Okay, so Christmas anagram, which if Christmas anagram was an anagram, it would be hamstring mascaras. So these are all to get you all in a tinsel. Okay, so what do you think Ivor Nitty is? So it's a Christmas word, that's been changed into an anagram. Okay, so I'll just give you, 10 seconds? Oh, there we go, Nicola. There it is, Nativity. Did you get that one? Okay, let's have another one. Imp niece. So, what Christmas word, and it's 2 words this, what could imp niece be? Okay, what do you reckon? Shall we have the answer? Mince pie. Yay. Oh, I love a mince pie. Warm mince pie. Aunt's casual. Again, this is 2 words. And we've talked about him, a clue. We talked about him in the poem that I've just read. But in the poem, he was called another name. Okay. Do you want to give the answer, Nicola? Yay! Santa Claus. Right, let's have another one. Hurl plod. What a funny 2 words. What could that be? That's 1 word. That's 1 word. A Christmas word. Okay, and his clue is he's one of the 8. What could that be? Okay, Nicola, do you want to give the answer? Yep, Rudolph. Karmic scratches. Okay, I'll give you a bit longer on this one. Karmic scratches. And again, it's 2 words. Okay, what do you reckon? Okay, should we have the answer? It is Christmas crackers. Okay, I think that's it. And wishing you all safe and happy festivities and a very happy new year from all of us at Kirklees Libraries. Thank you, Nicola.
Thanks, Dinah.
Hey.
I enjoyed that.
Did you get them all? Anybody get them all?
I'll get everybody back in.
I got way more than I thought I would.
Was that before the clues, Christina?
Well done.
I'm really grateful to you for doing this because it just dusts your brain off. I think we're all a bit full, you know.
Absolutely, yeah. And their ideas for fun activities at Christmas to do with the kids, to do with, your friends, and that you can do on Zoom, if you can't meet up.
Can I just say as well, every year my mum has a Christmas quiz. And, we always get together, family get together. She always does a Christmas quiz and she pitches some questions at the competitive adults and some at the kids. And a lot of it's family knowledge, our own traditions, things that we know. And we said to her this year, Mum, you have to do it by Zoom. And the look on her face. I really hope she does it because, we can't be together. And it is hard chatting when somebody else is chatting. And it's not the same, is it? You can't have those little conversations in a corner. But this is the kind of thing that it would be so nice if people take the initiative and get their interests and chuck them in a quiz and have a laugh.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It seems so enjoyable.
All right. I think Chris was wanting to talk a little bit about the writers group.
Just for a few minutes, really, for people who are watching who have wondered about writers groups and what they are and what you do in them. I joined a writers group. We lived in Africa for several years and I was on my own. And then when we came back here and moved to the area, I very, very bravely decided to try and join the Holmfirth Writers group, which meets in Holmfirth Library every Monday when the libraries are open and it's safe to do so. So they haven't met for a while, but I first went there and scouted them out, looked at them from behind a bookshelf, and they all looked, not too monstrous. So I ended up going along, and until that point, I'd never, ever shown anybody, I suppose, my creative writing rather than my factual writing, which is easier to share with somebody in a way when you're doing research and writing nonfiction. But when it's from the heart, a lot of people find it very difficult to share with somebody else. And 9 times out of 10, a writers group is a great place to go, and it's a safe space, very supportive atmosphere. And I've made some of the best friends ever in my entire life in these writers groups. So today we've got representing us Holmfirth Writers Group. We've got Owen's representing his group with his Huddersfield Authors Circle. We've got Cafe, which is Kirklees Authors Forum Exchange, which is basically all the groups in the area can get together and receive services from the library through cafe. And then we've got National Association of Writers Group. Anne is representing, which is the UK-wide group of all writers groups can come together and experience workshops and share information and writing competitions. So I'm going to now go back to everybody else who's joined us today and just ask them really to tell you a little bit about what it is like to be in a writers group and perhaps what motivated them to join and what they've got out of it. And then if you want to join any of these writers groups, and there are more in Kirklees, and if you're watching from across the country, you will have them where you live, you can come to us at Kirklees and find out where they are. So if we can bring everybody back in and have one of those conversations where we all talk over each other. But, we need to get used to this. Yeah. Sally, I'll ask you first of all. You were first to pop up. What made you join the writers group?
Well, I was actually one of the founder members of Holmfirth Writers Group. I went to the very first meeting, which I can't even remember when it was. I think it was about 2008 or something. It's a long time ago. It's set up by a lovely lady called Bev Ward from Sheffield, and she'd just moved to Holmfirth and was looking to make friends, and she's a writer, and so she thought she'd set up a creative writing group, and I went along. It's been one of the best things I've ever found. I absolutely love it. And I don't write an awful lot, but I always write on a Monday night when I go to writers group. I prefer it when we're meeting face to face. I find it more difficult on Zoom, but it's just that focus really of having an hour or two to just literally sit and write together and share what you've written. And it's such a supportive group. It's not judgmental. It's not critical. No one's ever going to turn around and say, well, that was rubbish. You're not a creative writer. Everybody's so supportive. And there's lots of spin-off events as well. We have a monthly poetry group at the university, which is fantastic if you love poetry. We study different poets from, Sappho right through to Simon Armitage and everything in between. And then we have other kind of weekend get-togethers, which I think Anne will talk about. So there's just so much going on, and it inspires you. Other people give you ideas. It really inspires you to write. It's great.
Thank you. And it was so nice to meet you as well. And Anne as well, who I met there. Anne, who's been a wonderful, I hate the word inspiring, it's overused, but you are a very inspiring person. So if you want to tell us a little bit about your involvement with the group and with National Association as well.
Yes, well, I was one of the first ones as well, wasn't I, Sally? We were there early days, and I was beginning to think about writing, and it's a support mechanism, isn't it? And Chris and I joined the National Association of Writers Group after we'd been to one of their festivals, and that made you feel part of the community of writers beyond our local ones, but across the country and even across the world. We do have one or two members from other parts of the world, and it's a feeling of fellowship. And you've got all these people with different skills and expertise and inspiration. So you go there feeling like a writer on your own, and then you arrive at one of their events, or like we have at locally when the world stay is normal. Wentworth, we've had some wonderful weekends there where you can just shut off from the rest of your life and just be a writer for a weekend. Sometimes the best we do is an hour, isn't it, at the library in Holmfirth? But it's wonderful if you go off for a weekend. And Beverly runs and still, doesn't she? She's got some wonderful events coming up. And just immerse yourself and let your juices flow. Exercise that muscle. And everybody would like to be published, maybe. And this is the steps that you can go along the way. It's a very inclusive, friendly organisation as a National Association of Writers Groups. It's on the website. You just find it at NAWG. I wish we could find a better acronym than that. It's such an ugly word, no. But a very friendly, worthwhile,
there you go. It's
inclusive organisation.
Thank you, Anne. That's brilliant. Hopefully people will
Thank
go and
you.
have a look. And that the other thing that I would say as well, you know, regardless of your income, that this is one of the
Yes.
pastimes, one of the hobbies, one of whatever you want to call it, whether you want to make money from it. To begin with, you don't need any money. You just need friendly faces and support and the will to hone your craft, or however you want to call it. Owen, tell us a quick bit about your group.
Huddersfield Authors Circle. I joined about 5 years ago. And yeah, since then it's been a very kind of inclusive, friendly group. We've grown in number over the past few years. What we do normally is we have 2 meetings per month, always on a Wednesday, the 2nd and the 4th of the month. The first is normally for reading meetings, and the second meeting tends to be for workshops. So we've been managed to keep it going over Zoom, which is wonderful. And it's a really supportive group, lots of conversation, and yeah, we're kind of working towards creating another book, because we've done one in the past called Circling the County, and we're just building up enough material and then get it sorted and sent it off for a new book. So we hope to keep this going. Yeah.
Great. And you got such good momentum in that group as well. You're always popping up and with really interesting stories and competitions to enter, which is another good way, isn't it, of improving your writing skills. And you're also friendly. You know, you're a lovely bunch. And hopefully we'll have everybody back at some other point in the next few months, and we can do a bit more on writers groups, and that'd be great, and get people to show their stuff off as well. And if you are interested in joining a writers group, you can email the libraries. They can put you in touch with your local writers group, or if you go and find the Writer in Residence page on kirkleeslibraries.co.uk, there's a list of groups there. Obviously some you won't be able to go along to or be in touch regularly until things are safe to do so, but hopefully using this slot that we have with the libraries, we'll be doing a little bit more of local writing and talking about that, and maybe a session similar to this, so you can feel included and ask questions. And before we finish, because we're now on the end of the session, just to mention the next Writer in Residence stuff that we'll be doing is the 7th of January, and I will be chatting to Emma Deason, who does some amazing performance work in relation to the subject of dementia, which is such an important subject. So many of us have been dealing with this issue in our lives. So she's going to be coming along, talking about it as an issue and talking about how she explores it through writing and to support other people. So that'll be January the 7th. And then in February, a bit long later, we've got the Peaky Blinders. We've got author of the real Peaky Blinders book, historian Carl Chin, coming along. And yeah, I'm really very, very different to anything we've done before. And it won't be remotely violent, and there will be no bad language, but it will be about the Peaky Blinders as a real group of people, but turning that into a work of fiction. So I think that'll be dead exciting as well in February. So that's us for now. And all that remains is to wish everybody a really lovely December, and whatever you're doing, I hope that you're keeping safe and you're keeping happy and you're just doing the little things that bring pleasure and looking after one another. And get in touch if you ever want to chat about writing. It'd be lovely to hear from people. And thanks especially to Dinah, dusting off the brain cells, and for Nicola, a great conduction show of getting all of us on here, which was by no means feat. I know it was tricky. And we missed Tim, but we'll get Tim back at another point. So thank you, Nicola.
Yeah,
really appreciate it. And thank you everybody for coming along.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye everyone. Take care.
Safe, happy December, everybody. Bye. Bye.